Alright, now let's take a look at something that will appear a little bit more complicated at first, but as you begin to just have some fun with it and play around, you'll begin to grasp it. Now, I'll admit, the first time I was shown the pen tool and its counterparts, it it was a little confusing to me. I couldn't quite grasp it at first. So be patient, take your time, and just have some fun with it. Play with it. Begin to create some shapes with it, and before you know it, you'll be a pro. So it's really not as hard as it appears. But there are some fundamentals that we need to learn before we really get into the actual tools. And that is, what is an anchor point and what are handlebars? An anchor point, think of it as an anchor, as a boat. It tells Illustrator specific areas where the shape needs to be formed. So it creates an anchor of where the shape goes and maybe stops, or maybe where it goes and then it curves. And that's why there's two types of anchor points. There's a smooth anchor point and there's also a corner. Think of a square using corner points because there's nothing smooth about those. And then think of smooth corner points as something circular. So each point is smooth on the edge and it's guiding into the next point. Now the handlebars allow you to pull and distort and change the curves of a smooth corner point. Now, I think the next best thing we can do is just start getting into it. Let's go ahead and I'm going to select this drawing that I did. I'm just going to move it over to the side here just in case we need to reference it again. And let's come over to the side and let's get our pen tool. The quick key function for that is P. And let's come over to our canvas. Now let's start drawing. Now when I click, Illustrator is going to create an anchor point. Now if I click once and I don't click and drag, it's going to create a corner point. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hold Shift down because Shift is going to do this in a straight line. And I'm going to click again. Illustrator has now created another anchor point, and it has now drawn a line between the two of those. Now let's go ahead and I'm going to change this to a darker stroke so that we can actually see what's going on here. So now you can see Illustrator has created an open path, which means the anchor points aren't connected, it's still open. We'll get to a closed path would be something like a square or circle because it's all enclosed in. I couldn't put a fill color on this because there's nothing to fill. All I can do is a stroke, and that's because it's an open path. So that gives you an idea of starting to draw with the pen tool. Now let's go ahead. I'm going to select it again. I'm going to get my pen tool out, and I'm going to click on this anchor point because that's going to allow me to start to draw from where I left off. I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to hold Shift down again. Draw a straight line. I'm going to hold Shift down again, and I'm just clicking once. I'm not clicking or dragging, just one click, and I've now created a square. Now you can see the square is a little off there. It's kind of got a diagonal. From here I could get my direct selection tool, grab that anchor point and pull it down just a hair to help me create the square. That's still not quite on. You'd want to use the square tool, but that shows you kind of how we can start to draw with the pen tool. Now, I did those all with corner points. They go to the point, they stop, it's rugged, it's jagged, it ends, and then it goes to the next point. But what happens when we click and drag on an object? Let me go ahead and delete this. And let's get our pen tool again. And now I'm going to click, and I'm going to hold the click, and I'm going to drag, and notice how these handlebars now begin to come out. This is because I've now created a smooth anchor point. Now watch what happens when I start to click again. When I click again, notice how it's done a curved line, and as I pull and I maneuver these anchor points, it begins to create more of a circular shape. Now this shape is hideous. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a closed path and hold it there. I mean, I kind of created an ugly blob there, but you can see now to create some more curved edges. Now let's say as I was drawing this hideous blob, I'm going to go ahead and rotate it as if my blob was laying on the cement or something. Let's say that I wanted additional points, or I wanted some points taken out. You can easily do this. If we go to our pen tool and we click and hold, we have the option here to add anchor point or delete anchor points. This is very easy to use. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get my add anchor point. I'm going to go ahead and select my object, and if I come to my path, you can see that there's a plus sign next to the pen tool. If I click, it is now going to add anchor points along my path. But let's say I wanted to take those out. I can remove anchor points by going over, click and hold, go to delete anchor point tool. I can come over to an anchor point. Notice how there's a minus symbol next to the pen tool. I'm going to click, and as you can see, points are now being removed. I want my blob back like that. Now let's say after creating an object, let's say I've created this smooth object with smooth anchor points, and now I want those anchor points to be corner points. There is a convert anchor point tool. If we come down here and go to convert anchor point tool, I can hover over a point, I can click on it, and it looks like I didn't quite click on that point. That's why that error message came up. There we go. Now you can see, let me click off of it so you can see, it's created this hard edge. There's now a corner point there. But I could easily convert this back if I needed to. Make sure I'm right on it. And if I click and hold and drag, it is now a corner point, and I'm able to make it curved again. So very, very useful there. You can access the convert anchor tool or the anchor point tool as you're creating an object. I'm just going to get my pen tool, and I'm going to start to click and drag and click and drag, and as you can see here, if I hover over an object after I've already put a point there, the convert anchor point tool will automatically appear. If I click on this, right now this point is a smooth anchor point. I'm going to click on it. It's now a corner point. Let me click off of it so you can see. So you can see that one point there was previously a corner point, and now, or sorry, it was previously a smooth point, and now it's a corner point. So again, the pen tool can be quite confusing at first. When you first pull it out, it's going to be hard to use, and it's going to not make a lot of sense. My only advice to you is to just play with it. That's the only way I was able to learn it. One thing that really helped me is to take a black and white image of some sort, or go to Google Images or something and find a black and white image or a black and white logo of some sort. Pull it into Illustrator, and from that point, go around and try to trace it out. Use the pen tool and trace out that logo using the pen tool, and see how close you can get to recreating that logo. That's a good lesson for us all too. When a logo is not created in a vector environment, you may have to recreate things later on. And the pen tool is one of the tools that you will need to recreate artwork. So that's a good way, and that's one of the ways I learned was when I worked at Reminder Band, doing custom artwork for silicone wristbands. They would send me particular artwork. A company would send a JPEG logo, and that's not vector art, and we have to send vector art to the factory. I'd have to take their logo, and I would have to trace it out, and I would have to use the pen tool to do that and recreate the artwork. So that was how I got a lot of my practice, and that's how I began to become familiarized with the pen tool, and its potential is huge. You cannot escape Illustrator without using the pen tool. It's a must have tool in your tool belt.